Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Marketing Club of New York. I'm really excited to be here today with another Silver Apples winner for this year's honorees. Today we have Jennifer Roberti from Save the Children and UNICEF. She's the former CMO and has done some amazing things in her career. Jennifer, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Jennifer, so I know you spent a lot of time at Save the Children and UNICEF. Can you just give us a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are today?
Would love to. I guess I would really view myself as a brand marketer. Started off on Madison Avenue at Y&R, working on a lot of really wonderful accounts, worked for some amazing people during my time there, and then had an opportunity to head overseas and spent 11 years in South Africa working for the largest mobile operator in Africa and the Middle East. Also, great experience. Really learned about building global brands. How do you make a brand really resonant across a lot of different countries and cultures, and build a brand that creates a lot of impact in the communities where it is operational. Coming back to the United States in 2015, had an opportunity to join UNICEF as their first chief marketing officer. And it really was a great opportunity to marry my experience in advertising, branding, social impact, and think about how I could make a contribution to a really enormously impactful organization like UNICEF. And then, over to Save the Children, had an opportunity to join them. And again, fantastic organization focused on kids, both here in the US and around the world. There's no better way to spend your time and energy than thinking about how you engage people to help make the world a better place for kids.
That's amazing. I love that. It sounds like such an inspirational career. Talk to me for a minute about your time in Africa and how that shaped your perspective coming back and coming into UNICEF and Save the Children.
MTN really was and is a special organization. I think there are a couple of things that really were profoundly important to me during my time there. First of all, and I always like to share this stat because it really puts it into perspective. When I moved to South Africa in 2004 and started working with MTN, they had 16 million subscribers in 6 countries. And when I left in 2015, they had 235 million subscribers in 21 countries. So it was really an opportunity to have like a firsthand view of like the explosion of mobile on the continent and how it really changed people's lives. And when you think about it, and maybe it's hard for some people to kind of have that perspective or understand, is that in several countries where MTN operated, there really were no landlines, or they were incredibly limited. You're talking about maybe tens of thousands of landlines for countries with tens or hundreds of millions of people as a population. So having access to a low cost mobile operator, most of it being pay as you go versus what we're used to here. And then on top of it with data, bringing in things like banking, having your bank on your phone, being able to pay bills, access educational information, access healthcare. So really being able to see how how also streaming content. So how a company like MTN and mobile telephony could really change how people lived and really made it possible for people to be more included in the political, social, and economic, spheres. It was amazing.
Mhm. I love the perspective of how much your role there really helped grow it and help people. Do you think that's what drove you into the nonprofit space when you returned to the US?
I think so. I mean, and to be transparent, when I returned to the US, I wasn't really necessarily looking for a not-for-profit role or wasn't really looking to join a not-for-profit organization. But, I think my time there and seeing how the impact that you can have was something that was really meaningful and really rewarding. So I definitely was looking for an opportunity where I could use my skills and my experience to kind of do the same thing.
Mhm. That's great. So, thinking of your time at UNICEF and with Save the Children, can you give us any examples of campaigns or work or anything you did that you're especially proud of?
Yeah, I think I'm proud of a lot of actually all of the work that my team did while I was at UNICEF and Save the Children. It was a really interesting time. I think one of the things that we spent a lot of time thinking about was how to engage different types of people. So, traditionally, a lot of not-for-profits in the US, not just Save the Children and UNICEF, really have had audiences or supporters that have been largely older individuals. And we really wanted to think about how do we bring young people in earlier? How do you create kind of that lifetime of giving? How do you, teach children about empathy? How do you make giving back part of your life story? So whether it's Trick or Treat for UNICEF, which it's the first time a lot of people really engage with an organization, give back, to workplace giving in your first job, to being part of a student club, to being a parent, and then teaching your own children about empathy and getting them involved in programs like Trick or Treat for UNICEF, for example. So really thinking about it as kind of like a relationship for a lifetime. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we build out campaigns that would bring in younger and more diverse supporters. And we did that through campaigns like Get Fed Up, really bringing attention to hunger in a different way. We also did it through campaigns like Save Our Stories during COVID, where we were really fortunate enough to have all different people from all walks of life reading stories on Instagram for parents and their kids to engage with. And it gave us an opportunity to talk to families about what other families might be going through during COVID with schools being closed. And kids, especially in rural America, not having access to meals or learning materials. And by listening to these stories and being inspired, it also invited them to give back. So those are some of the campaigns that I've been involved with that, I'm really proud of.
Yeah, those sound amazing. I love the concept and the approach of really organically getting them not just aware of the brand, but really more deeply involved in the brand and then adopting them into into the funnel and getting them on board for donating and just being involved with the organization overall. That's amazing. So talk to me a little bit about when, as you're approaching these campaigns and you're thinking about all the different audiences that you have to talk to and how you can really reach them in different ways. How do you go about building the strategy and inspiring the team to kind of learn and dig into the nuances between all of the different audiences?
Well, audience really is the key there. And I think, really starting there and being clear about who you're trying to reach and what is the message. I mean, I started my career back in the day at Y&R, and I still refer back to a tool that we use there, the strat map. And to me, that really embodies what marketing is all about. So what do people currently think or do? What do you want them to think or do? And then what's that reason to believe? So really having a clear idea with a lot of insights, do your research, gather your data, understand who it is, and really try to create a robust portrait of that individual that you're trying to convince, that you're trying to convey your message to, understanding like what's their headspace right now, what do you want them to think, and then what are those powerful messages that you have as an organization that can move them from point A to point B. And a lot of that has to do with kind of finding that creative spark or that universal human insight with Get Fed Up, for example. I think we came up with a really wonderful insight, which is kids can't be kids when they're hungry. So using that as the inspiration for the campaign and showing people the truth of that statement really helped get people engaged and involved.
That's amazing. I love it. And I love the focus really on that core insight and building everything from there. So flipping around to the other side, knowing marketing shifts so quickly and there's so many nuances and components to it, how do you inspire your team to keep up with the changing trends?
Well, there's so many right now too. I think first of all, we talked a lot about building a culture of curiosity within the team. So not just about data and reporting, but really about curiosity and insights. So that's first and foremost. And I think secondly, making sure that you're creating a culture where people aren't afraid to fail, giving opportunity to talk about things that we've tried that maybe haven't worked. But what have you learned? What have you learned? What have you learned? And really reinforcing that. I know it's easy to get, especially in marketing today. There are so many channels, there's so many metrics, there's so many dashboards, and you can get lost in all of the numbers. But really taking time with the team to step back and maybe step away from the numbers or go deeper than the numbers and say, what did we really learn? What did we learn from here? And what are we going to take forward? I think, and obviously the big topic of conversation right now is obviously AI. So, bringing in speakers, being open and talking about it, creating space for people to share what they're worried about, what their concerns are, and how do we work together to address them. I think in a lot of cases, you want to balance risk with growth. So anything that's new or innovative brings certain risk, but it also brings opportunity. So how do you create a space to talk about both the risk and the opportunities and figure out together how you're going to navigate through that?
That's great. I love that. And I love the component of curiosity and consistently learning. I think I've heard a lot of that, through all of the conversations with the honorees this year. So it's amazing, and certainly important. So in that same line, one of the core components of the Marketing Club of New York is supporting students that are moving into the marketing field and helping them with that transition. What advice would you give to a student considering marketing or nonprofit at this point in time?
I think one of the best opportunities, and it happens almost, at least on a weekly basis, if not on a daily basis, is, using some of the channels that you have available to you. I see more and more high school students, even on LinkedIn, who are reaching out and wanting to make connections, asking for advice. And I think knowing how to connect with people in the field of marketing or advertising or in the social impact space is really an important skill. What are the kinds of questions? How do you use that time with someone that might eventually become a mentor? Understand what are the skills that you need? What are the experiences that will help you? I think the other thing I would say is that I never had a 5-year plan. I never knew, I never had a vision of where I was going to end up. I really tried to be open-minded and think about each opportunity as it came along and look for things that were going to excite me, things that I was going to learn from. I had an opportunity once with one of the leaders at Y&R who said to me, sometimes you have to open your hands to receive. she gave me that piece of advice, I think probably like 25 years ago. And I still think about it all of the time, because I think what it said to me at the time is, don't be so set on your plans, but be open to the opportunity and open to the possibility, and be able and willing to say yes.
Mhm. I love that. I love the idea. I mean, certainly your original point of connection and networking and, reaching out is really important, but the idea of keeping an open mind is really important as well. So that's great. Well, Jennifer, this has been amazing. So many good insights, and it's so great to hear about your wonderful career and, all of the different places you've been. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're so excited to celebrate you in a couple weeks, on November 7th. So congratulations again on the award, and we can't wait to celebrate with you in person.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was lovely to talk to you.
Yes, you as well. Thank you.